I'm so goddamn tired of being the fifth wheel, or the third wheel.
I've been crying on and off for a little bit now, and I want to be a mom.
What a lot of women don't realize is your biggest downfall will come from trusting a man or feeling sorry for a man.
This might make me a bad person, but I'm just gonna say it. I think that being in a relationship with someone when you have more self-awareness than them is the fucking worst. Okay.
Women choosing to be abstinent is far different than men who are involuntarily celibate.
Voluntary celibacy isn't a movement or a trend. It's a personal audit. Men who ran the numbers on what intimacy costs versus what it delivers in the current market and concluded the trade doesn't work aren't damaged. They're informed.
I've been crying on and off for a little bit now, and I want to be a mom so bad. Like, I want to be pregnant so bad and grow a human, and I just want to take care of... I just want to be a mom so bad. And I just wish I could be one right now.
What a lot of women don't realize is your biggest downfall will come from trusting a man or feeling sorry for a man. Oh, but I feel bad for him. Oh, I don't want to hurt his feelings. He would hurt your feelings. A man will never hesitate to choose himself. Even him being with you, treating you well, is him choosing himself. You are just receiving the benefit of that. If he's treating you well, taking you out, all of that, it's because he gets to have you in his life. It benefits him. It makes him happy. Because look how quick these men switch up when they decide they don't want you anymore. They will always choose themselves. They will always put their own needs first. And you need to learn from that and adopt the same behavior and put yourself first. Speak your truth. Ask for what you want. Or if you don't want to be with him anymore, let him know. Stop giving people endless chances. Stop feeling bad for them. They behave how they want. Then when they apologize and they're all like, oh, I miss you and all of this, you feel sorry for them. When they are just manipulating you, they're just saying what they need to say to get what they want from you. You can't be like, oh, I want to have more confidence. I want things to be better in my life. But when it comes to you choosing yourself and prioritizing your needs and what you want, you don't. You start worrying about how other people feel. You prioritize their feelings instead of your own. And I'm not saying you have to be horrible about it. Your delivery can be kind. And you can consider people's feelings, but you will prioritize your own. So prioritize your peace and never hesitate to pick yourself.
Wanting love and being unwilling to risk everything built to pursue it aren't contradictions. They're the honest accounting of what the current legal and emotional landscape charges for entry. The opt-out isn't giving up on love. It's refusing to pay a price that was never fair to begin with.
I'm so goddamn tired of being the fifth wheel, or the third wheel. And I got into it with my friend today. And she was like, well, it's a lose-lose. Either they don't invite you, and then you're hurt because you're left out, or invite you, and you're the third or the fifth wheel. I'm just over it. I'm exhausted by it. I'm like fucking tired of it. I'm tired of feeling like the loser who doesn't have someone. I'm tired of feeling like the person who like doesn't know how to like grow up and move on with their life. I'm tired of feeling like shame because like no one's chosen me, or I haven't found somebody that like, and like for the most part I feel like I'm good and I don't really like, you know, stress about it. But every now and again it just hits me when I'm just like, yep, my plans this weekend include being the fifth wheel to...
Why is gas $5 a gallon? And like, why do I have to pay rent? And why is rent so high? And why do I have to drive my car and get the gas that I have to get to go to the job that I have to pay for rent? Why do I have to do all of that stuff? And why are you making it so fucking expensive to do it? I don't even want to get out and pump my gas. It feels like getting out and just knowing someone's gonna fucking stab you. Why would you get out? This is beginning. This is the beginning of life. What am I supposed to do forever? I have to get a fucking horse.
Reality arriving without a male financial buffer to absorb, it is a specific kind of shock that the strong and independent framing never prepared anyone for. The sister who handled her finances before the bills arrived didn't need rescuing. That's the model, not the alternative.
I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. My boyfriend and I met, we went out with our friends, we hooked up. The next morning I was getting into an Uber, he goes, I'm gonna date you. And I was like, okay. He goes away for the weekend, comes back. That night, he's like, we're going on a date, see you at 7. We go on a date, and apparently 45 minutes into the date, he calls his dad. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna marry her. My point is, that guy that you're seeing that's taking months to decide if he wants to date you or not, Come on. Also, think about it. Do you really want to be with someone that takes months to decide if they want to be with you or not? You don't do that with friends. You meet someone, you hit it off, you're like, yep, that's my friend now. When a guy really likes you and wants to be with you, there's no guessing games. He makes it known that he likes you and he wants to date you, and usually right off the bat. There's no deciphering text messages, trying to see if he's like hanging out with other girls. There's none of that. So stop wasting time with someone that doesn't see your value up front or just isn't compatible with you. He's gonna say, I like you, I want to be with you. You can do whatever you want to do for now, but I'm committed to you. And then you make the decision if you want to be with them or not, but they'll be straight up with you.
Women choosing to be abstinent is far different than men who are involuntarily celibate. Women, it's a choice. Men, they're not choosing. They simply cannot get schmecks from women, and therefore they're angry because they cannot control women. Men get angry when women control their own bodies, which is why you're trying to compare a femcel to an incel. Especially in the modern context, I think the rise with the sprinkle movement, people are realizing that schmecks is such a valuable resource to men. When they go without it, they literally, again, blow a fuse. The consciousness among non-men is rising and realizing that the lie that we have all been told, the lie our parents have been told, our grandparents have been told, is simply not one that is serving people other than men. And the first thing that they'll do is they'll try to discredit you, they'll try to call you ugly, they'll try to put you down in any way, shape, or form that they can, and then they realize that they can't do it because they are actually powerless, especially the ones that sit behind a screen that don't even show their face, have no profile picture, say nothing other than just like trolling people on the internet.
Men understand feminist women perfectly. That's precisely why they're staying away. Confusion would produce continued engagement while the dynamic gets figured out. Clarity produces exit. The withdrawal is the comprehension, not the failure to comprehend.
I am okay to finish my life being single. Being single.
Come on,
hey,
it's not going to happen.
I would rather die as a single man, having never gotten laid before, than wife up a lady who's absolutely contentious, who makes me want to sit in the corner of my roof, who makes me want to run out into the desert and die there.
Proverbs 21:19.
I would rather be single for the rest of my life, because that sounds so much better.
I think this is becoming more of a man's view in this day and time.
Agreed.
My son is 18, and I was like, you don't want to have a girlfriend? He's like, I don't want to invest time and money and everything in a girl that I don't want to marry that's been with all my friends.
I don't think people realize this is going to become extremely common, where men, like generally speaking, in their nature, don't really need other people with them. I mean, I can go to church. I have my boys at church. Like, that's my community. I don't need to have a wife. I definitely want one, but I don't need it. Whereas women in general, psychologically, sociologically, they need that partner. And when we find women who are single in their 50s and 60s,
these messages literally perpetuate the problem that our society faces with dating, relationships, and loneliness. If we are telling other people to isolate and to not be in relationship and to protect our hearts from being vulnerable, from putting ourselves out there, if we're trying to create conditions that are the most optimal ways to live, where we never get hurt, we never face rejection, we are literally never going to grow, build resilience, and build the skill sets to regulate our own emotions. And that is literally what life is about. It's learning how to regulate your emotions, because 99% of things in life we cannot control for and we cannot predict. So what you've got to focus on is how do you create a sense of inner joy and inner peace despite what's going around you. So staying single and isolating yourself from relationships that are beautiful and like foundational to human, like the human experience, that doesn't increase your peace. That actually just makes you more depressed, because humans are wired to connect. And frankly, we shouldn't be outsourcing our peace onto anything or anyone else. Like, you need to learn how to create that for yourself and create your own sense of joy and internal feelings of joy. So it's comments like these that are deeply troubling to see and are really not helping anyone.
Women can sequence careers after family because biology permits it. Men work from 18 to 70 with no equivalent flexibility and no institutional acknowledgement that the asymmetry exists. The conversation about choices never includes the full picture of who actually has them and who doesn't. Men's choices in this framework aren't choices. They're obligations with a retirement date attached.
I told a guy that I was waiting till marriage. It was our 5th date. We were trying to decide if we wanted to be exclusive or not, and expectations and what that would look like. And we talked about my waiting for marriage for about an hour. And he had a lot of questions, and I was like trying to answer them to the best of my ability and explain where I'm coming from and why it's important to me. He was really nice about it, like just a gentleman, just wanting to understand. And I told him, I know that this is a lot to take in, and I want you to be able to make the best decision for you. So please, take a couple days, think about it. Don't think about my emotions, just think about what you need in a relationship. And then give me a call back in a couple days. And just let me know what you've decided. And I've been waiting for the phone call all day. And I'm like, I know that it'll be good either way. Like, this is just how it is. Like, if I'm gonna choose to, set myself apart in Christ, then this is what dating looks like. But it just feels kind of bad to be waiting for his phone call, waiting to see, am I worth dating if I don't have sex? And I'm like, he hasn't called yet, and it's 8 p.m. And so I'm like, well, maybe he's not calling because he'll show up to my place with flowers and tell me that that's not why he was interested in me, and that he wants to be in a relationship with me either way, and that I'm worth it. But is that unrealistic? Wanting I don't know, I just wish that I was worth a big gesture, because right now I don't even know if I'm worth a phone call. And it hurts a little bit. But, either way, I'll be fine. I'm just sad.
The independent lifestyle was imagined as a full paycheck available for personal spending. Rent, utilities, food, and all associated costs somehow handled by the narrative rather than the budget. Reality doesn't negotiate with the vision. The bills arrive regardless of what the empowerment content promised, and the shock at their existence says everything about the gap between the fantasy that was sold and the arithmetic that was always there.
I'm just going to talk about this comment that was left on one of my videos, and there's quite a few men that leave similar comments to this, and this proclamation that, this is why men are staying single. And this is obviously not all men, but there is a reason why men do this, and the reason that men say I'm staying single, which in other terms basically means I'm also willing to have a string of hookups that mean nothing to get my own needs satisfied, is that the reason that they do this is because they are not willing to face themselves. Any man that says, I'm staying single, is because they do not want to be in a situation that is causing them to face parts of themselves that have been denied, that have been repressed, where they are not taking accountability for the way that they show up in relationships. And obviously, if they're not in relationship or opening themselves up to the right person, they're not going to have this mirroring. And so by isolating and saying, this is why men are staying single, it's just basically another way of saying, I don't want to face myself. Because unfortunately in Western society and sort of in the modern world, men are becoming apathetic, they're becoming more feminized. And when wounded feminine energy shows up in men, it causes them to lack accountability, to not want to take responsibility, to be flighty, to not commit to things, which is automatically a massive turn off to women that are in a healed feminine energy. And so the sorts of women that they would actually, thrive in relationship with, they're not attracting anyway, because they're not opening themselves up to the possibility that actually they're the ones that are responsible for the type of women that they're actually pulling in the first place. And so it becomes this vicious cycle. But when men say, that they're staying single as an act of, trying to control their circumstances, the reality is underneath that they're feeling very much out of control, and because they don't have a language for communicating, you know, what's going on underneath, because no man that is in a healed masculine energy is going to make this proclamation and decide that he's going to be single for the rest of his life. Because when you look at the way that obviously masculine energy thrives in life, it is to build, it's to continuously have something to move towards, to build some sort of legacy for self, and to feel as if they're creating a foundation, you know, and building something. And so when you're saying, you know, I'm cutting off my own growth, which is obviously what comes from being in a relationship anyway, they're automatically showcasing they're not actually in their masculine. Because to get to the end of your life and basically look back and say, you know, I worked a job that was okay, that paid the bills, sat on my own money so I didn't have to pay anything, you know, for women, and, you know, got to the end of my life with a string of hookups. You look back at that as a legacy for a male, and the level of regret that would come with that is not going to feel good. So if a man makes this proclamation, then this is what he really means. And emotional fulfillment in life comes from the depth of intimacy we have with our partners, with the people that are closest to us. And when we cut ourselves off from that and the possibility of exploring that, we don't live an emotionally fulfilling life. We live a life that's filled with surface level distractions, surface level projections that don't actually lean into anything of depth. And so when a man says this, he's likely very much in his feminine, in an apathetic energy where he doesn't want to commit to things. And so within a relationship, he's not going to take accountability. This is obviously very different for a man that chooses to stay single until the right person comes along and works on himself in the meantime. This is an attribute of a healthy masculine male, and a man that's able to concentrate and focus his energy in such a way that's actually going to be really supportive and conducive once the right partner shows up, or once he's ready to take that step with the right partner. And this is the sort of dynamic and mentality that actually breeds and calls in soul connection as well, because the man is anchored into his masculine energy as opposed to dismissing the concept of relationship altogether, which is naturally a byproduct of being very wounded. And soul connection in and of itself can only come in when you are truly connected to yourself, whether you're male or female. So if you don't have a deep understanding of, you know, your own psyche, the way that you operate, of your own triggers, where you're not taking accountability and reconciling that internally, you're not actually in a position to attract in what would be like a deep soul connection anyway. So all of these things are interconnected. They all play into one another. But the difference is that when you are connected to self, you see the mirroring and the divinity in others. When you are not connected to yourself, you see through the eyes of separation, of somebody else wanting to take from you, as opposed to being with an open and generous heart that actually allows you to feel the fullness of what a relationship can actually bring for you.
A lifetime of psychodrama and financial dependency in exchange for conditional, scheduled intimacy on someone else's terms. That's the actual product being offered. Peace, financial stability, and autonomy over every decision is the alternative. The men who ran that comparison and chose the second column aren't broken. They're the first ones who did the math correctly.
Everything that's in him and on him, you're submitting to.
This is why I've chosen celibacy. And if you have not watched that video yet, you should. Because he explained it so well, especially coming from a man. And it's actually sad that this is not taught in school, nor openly discussed in a household, because this is one of the things that I wish I knew when I was younger, before I even started experimenting with a lot of stuff. So this is mostly to my younger women out there, because I want you to protect your energy. I want you to protect yourself. Yeah? So let me tell you about soul ties. Soul ties are those emotional and spiritual connections that are formed through engaging with someone sexually. And through that activity, we form deep bonds with this individual, which actually affects us emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Let me give you an example of how this affects us. Let's say you had a one-night stand and that person had depression and anxiety. Since sex is an energy exchange between people, that low vibrational energy is also passed on to you. How much? I don't know. We cannot see energy. And so let's say that person also had past partners. Let's say about 10 partners. Those 10 people, 8 out of them, let's say, had anxiety or traumatic experiences like most of us had. Since that was in the past, they also did the energy exchange. They also exchanged this low vibrational energy. And now that he has done it with you, their energies were with him too when he did it with you. You get me? It's like a web of energy exchange. Now, you only did it with this person, but you got the energy of some people. And since we cannot segregate energy, we don't know which energies were shared with you. Because, like I said, it's a web of shared energies between a lot of people. Here's another good example. I have not met anyone who is sleeping around, drinking, living the life, who is not feeling lost. If they tell you that they're feeling great or they're okay, whatsoever, they're lying. Because deep down inside, they're feeling so lost because of so many people that they've engaged with. Just imagine how much energy he had to exchange between a lot of people already. That will make you feel lost for sure. And that's why choosing celibacy for me is one of the best decisions I've done in my life. Because now I can focus with my own energy and I can heal from my past relationships. Now that you are aware of this, be careful and protect what you can now.
The Clinton data is genuinely revealing, gaining female votes after a public infidelity scandal because the alternative was less attractive. The high-risk, demonstrably disloyal option consistently outperforms the stable alternative in female selection patterns. Men who observed that pattern and adjusted their behavior accordingly weren't becoming worse. They were responding to documented revealed preferences.
This might make me a bad person, but I'm just gonna say it. I think that being in a relationship with someone when you have more self-awareness than them is the fucking worst, okay? Having more emotional intelligence than your partner will kill your relationship, okay? Because you know more about your partner than they do about themselves. You start growing this sort of resentment, okay? Because personally, I analyze everything. I know everything about their behavior. I know everything about my behavior, what caused my triggers, where in my childhood can I pinpoint where this all started, what I need to do to fix this, okay? And when you get into a relationship with someone that's surface level, okay, they're not able to go deep with their emotions, you're not, first of all, your soul is not gonna be satisfied, okay? Sometimes you just need to talk, to talk about your feelings, to talk about deep conversations, and they're not able to. They're always surface level, right? And second of all, conflicts are not manageable. You feel like you're mothering that man, okay? It's not your job. It's not my job to teach you how to name your emotions, something that you should have learned in kindergarten, okay? And it's not my job to help you manage your emotions. When you don't know your emotions, you're not able to manage them. So it's like your whole relationship, you're just dealing with a child. If I wanted a child, I would have gotten pregnant, okay? But no, I'm in a relationship with a grown-ass man. I want to be able to talk about my feelings, not just be surface level, okay? So when you know more about him than he does about himself, the whole relationship, you start growing resentment. And resentment is also what kills relationships. Like, this is something that most people should learn, and but they're not willing to do it because it means questioning who you are, questioning your beliefs, everything that you stand for. Admitting that you're wrong is very, very hard. Not a lot of people are able to do that. So when you're like that, you are able to admit when you're wrong, but your partner is not. Like, it makes you wanna rip their eyeballs out, okay? Because you can apologize, right? But he can't. You can name your emotions and try to solve the conflict. He can't. It's like, why are you sad? I don't know. Fuck! What do you mean I don't know? What do you mean I don't know? You're a grown-ass man. You don't know what made you feel sad. You need a fucking girl to help you deal with your emotions. Fuck. And the worst part about this is, every time there's a conflict, apparently you're the problem because you want to fix this, you want to talk about it, and he's not able to go Beyond, I'm sorry, I understand. Why? What do you understand? What did you do? What can you do to fix this later? Because it's great to say, I'm sorry, I understand, but if you're gonna do it again, it doesn't fucking matter, does it? Fuck.
Canceled the Tinder date to watch snooker in peace and found the decision instantly defensible. The friction of modern dating, the logistics, the performance, the risk, weighed against a quiet evening alone and lost. When the alternative to dating beats the date before it even starts, the market has a serious value proposition problem. The distinction between intentional celibacy and protective isolation matters, but it doesn't change the market outcome. Both produce the same result. Fewer connections forming, higher walls on both sides, and a dating environment where the cost of vulnerability keeps outpacing the perceived reward. The real challenge isn't learning to keep the door open. It's creating conditions where opening it doesn't consistently cost more than keeping it closed. Until the risk-reward actually changes, the door stays where it is, and the advice to be vulnerable lands on people who've already learned exactly what vulnerability costs them. Thanks for watching MGTOW Voice. Show us your love by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Support us and help spread awareness for men around the world. We welcome a healthy debate and discussion, so feel free to comment and share your thoughts.